This is mod 1 for the runner's lunge. You're going to come from that lunge position. To set this up, just make sure you have the proper space between your feet. So wiggling those left toes forward just a little bit. You're going to bring your weight onto your left heel, keeping a bend into that left knee, and start to reach your arms up, keeping a micro bend into the elbows. Start to hinge forward from the hips, getting a nice little stretch into the back of that leg. This requires balance, so make sure you're breathing. Keep drawing the navel in towards your lower back. Keep your eyes forward. This is mod 2 for the runner's lunge. Starting from your lunge position, wiggle your left toes forward a little bit so you get the proper space between your feet. And then you're going to see if you can lift those left toes up off the floor. Keeping a little bend into that left knee, start to use your core. Reach your arms overhead and just door as I flex the hands. Slight little bend into those wrists. Start to hinge forward from the hips, getting a nice stretch into the hamstrings and into the back of the leg. Tricky for the balance, so try to maintain your breath, keeping the navel pulled in. Make sure there's a stretch, no strain in or behind that left knee. This is mod 3 for the runner's lunge. We're going to start in that lunge position with the toes pointing forward. You're going to wiggle those left toes forward, making sure there's enough space between your feet so you get the proper stretch. From here, you're going to come down onto that left heel, pointing those left toes up to the ceiling. And now you're going to really stabilize here. So push into that left heel, push into the ball of your right foot, draw your core in and see if you could reach those arms up overhead. And then from here, just starting to hinge forward from the hips, nice and slow, getting that stretch behind the left leg. Make sure there's no pulling in or around that left knee. Make sure this feels safe on that balancing knee. This is mod 1 for the seated spine twist, starting with your sits bones on the floor. So those are those two little bones at the bottom of your bum. From here, you're going to start with that left foot in dorsiflexion, extend the left leg, and then draw that right knee up towards the chest. The first action here is just to get a nice long spine. So as we start to begin the twisting, we're moving around the axis of the spine, not with a flexed round spine, but with a nice extended spine. So just holding here and working on building the strength along those spinal muscles. Breathing, eyes are forward, and then maybe just starting to find a little rotation to the right. Take one more breath. Every time you inhale, think of breathing through to the crown of the head, and then as you exhale, squeeze the lower belly in and feel how that action moves the body. As you release, let your eyes begin the movement. So look forward to release the spine. Take a breath, big inhale, and let go. And make sure you do the second side. This is mod 2 for the seated spine twist. Starting with your feet extended in front of you, just find the sits bones first. So those now become your feet. And then drawing that right leg up towards you, picking up that right foot and placing it onto the outside of that left leg. Imagine pushing your left foot into a wall in front of you. Interlace the fingers below your knee onto the shin. First, get a nice long spine. From here, keeping the integrity and the length of the spine, hook your left elbow around your right knee, and then just start to bring your right hand to the right of your hip. Take an inhale here, push into your sits bones, and then as you exhale, squeeze your belly in and feel how that core action moves the upper spine. Moving with your breath. Inhale, breathe all the way up through to the ribs, and then as you exhale, squeeze your belly in and feel the rotation on the axis of the spine. To come out, let your eyes face forward, let the body follow. Breathe. Take a breath in, let go, and make sure you do the second side. This is mod 3 for the seated spinal twist. Starting in neutral position, legs extended in front of you. Grab for that right knee, bend the right knee, pick up the right foot and place it on the outside of that left leg. Dorsiflexion of that left foot. Start with a nice long spine. So grab onto the shin, extend the spine. Imagine a string lifting your chest up towards the ceiling. Start here. From here, you're going to hook your left elbow around your right knee, reach your right fingertips behind your right shoulder. Take a breath. Breathe in. The breath is going to move you. And now as you exhale, squeeze your lower belly in and feel how the core action moves the upper body. Find your breath. Take an inhale. Exhale, squeeze the belly in. And feel the breath move the body. Take one more breath. To come out, a lot of awareness. Don't spring out of the posture. Look forward first, safely return to neutral, unwind your spine. Take a breath, big inhale, release, exhale, and make sure you do the second side. This is mod 3 for the shoulder stand. If you've had any kind of damage to your shoulders or your neck does not feel good, you are not doing this posture. Practice safely. If there's any compression to your neck, come out of the posture. So come to lie on your back, reaching those legs up towards the ceiling, hands down by the hips, palms face up to the ceiling. Hug the belly in and start to lift the hips up off the floor. From here, if everything says okay in your shoulders and your neck, you start to bring the heels of your hands to your mid-spine as you reach those legs up towards the ceiling. So you have one line from your shoulders, your hips, your knees, and your ankles. Breathing here, making sure the belly stays pulled in, back of the neck is long. To come out, you're gonna break at the hips first, coming out with a lot of awareness, bringing the legs behind the head. From here, place your hands back down onto the floor, and with your core, start to place the vertebra one at a time onto the floor beneath you. Bend the knees, place the soles of the feet onto the floor. Take a breath, big inhale, and exhale. This is mod 1 for the shoulder stand. We're going to show you the preparation for the shoulder stand to make sure that the back body is ready to support this movement. Extending the legs up towards the ceiling, dorsal flexion of the feet. Reaching the arms up overhead, dorsal flex the hands. And you're trying to get the back of the spine onto the floor. So hug the belly button in, hug the front ribs in. So it's a lot like that advanced chair posture, preparing the back body for the shoulder stand. Staying here, breathing. To come out, start to bend into the knees, release the hands back by the hips, place the feet onto the floor, and take a breath. This is mod 2 for the shoulder stand. If you've had shoulder surgery and you have any damage to your neck at all, you're gonna take mod 1. Be careful of your shoulders, and it's important to watch the tutorial first and then go into the posture so you're not looking around as you move into this position. It's not safe for the neck. So make sure you feel good in your body. Come to lie on your back, hands down by the hips, start to lift the legs up towards the ceiling. From here, you're gonna push into the backs of your shoulders and start to lift the hips up off the floor. And then just check in here. If you feel any compression into your neck, you're gonna mod down. Otherwise, you're gonna stay here and just work on stretching that back line. Hug the belly in, keep the legs extended the best you can. The weight is in the shoulders, not the neck. To come out, very important using your core. Hug the belly in. Hug the belly in more. Try not to spring out of this position. If you're springing out, your body is not prepared to be here. Control the movement. Slowly placing the hips down onto the floor, bend the knees, take a big breath in, and exhale, let go. This is mod 3 for the supine hamstring stretch. Come to lie on your back. Start with both knees bent and extend the right leg up towards the ceiling. We're gonna reach behind the calf, keeping that dorsiflexion of the foot, maintaining that stabilization through the shoulder blades. So both shoulder blades should stay on the floor. From here, keeping the natural curve of the spine, start to extend the left leg forward. And as you start to draw those toes behind you, try not to lift the lower back up off the floor. Keeping that sacrum pushing down into the floor, safely stretching into the backs of the legs. The stretch doesn't need to be intense to be effective. Breathing here. To come out, release the grip of the leg, bend the knees, place both feet back onto the floor. Breathe. This is mod 1 for the supine hamstring stretch. Come to lie on your back. You're gonna lift your right leg up towards the ceiling and just start to reach behind that back leg, getting a nice stretch into that right leg. If it feels okay on your lower back, go ahead and extend the left leg. Imagine pushing your left foot into a wall in front of you. Most importantly, we don't want to see the tailbone lifting up off the floor. So try to maintain the natural curve of the spine as you extend that bottom leg. Keep the action in the feet. Keep dorsiflexion in the feet. Make sure there's no strain in and around the knees. Protect those knees. To come out, release the grip of the leg, place that right foot onto the floor, bend both knees. This is mod 2 for the supine hamstring stretch. Come to lie on your back. Starting with both knees bent, extend your right leg up towards the ceiling. Keep a micro bend into that knees, dorsal flexion of the foot. Interlace the finger, never behind the knee, either below or above the knee. From here, maintaining the stabilization through the shoulder girdle and the pelvis, maybe start to extend the left leg forward. The idea with the hamstring stretch, if to be done safely, is that the entire length of the spine stays on the mat, ensuring that we're not pulling into our lower back. Action is in the leg. Think dorsal flexion of both feet. A little pull onto that right leg, but don't force the stretch. Breathing into that back of the leg. Relax and let go on the exhale. To come out, release the grip of the leg, and the leg shouldn't spring away. Bend the knee, place both feet back onto the floor. Change and do the other side. This is mod 3 for the supine knee twist. Come to lie on your back. Reach your arms out like a T, palms face up to the ceiling. Pull your belly button into the lower back, float the knees up off the floor. 90-degree bend into the knees. As you maintain that core activation, start to let your knees slowly come to one side. Maintaining the core activity, controlling the movement. Your knees may or may not touch the floor. Once you get to your full range of motion, check in with core activity. Make sure your belly button's pulled in, protecting the lower back. Working through that natural rotation of the spine. Breathing here, inhaling, exhale, squeeze the belly button in towards the lower back. To come out, maintain that core activation, push into that left hand to help support the movement, lift those knees back up through center, and change. Take a breath, big inhale, let that go, and make sure you do both sides. This is mod 1 for the supine knee twist. Come to lie on your back. Reach your arms open like a T, just leaving your toes onto the floor. Hug your belly in, get those abdominal muscles working. From here, slowly let your knees come over towards the left. And just work within your range of motion here. Your knees may or may not touch the floor. Don't force it. Most importantly, you're just getting a nice stretch to the right side of the body, rotating the upper part of the spine. Navel stays pulled in, protecting the lower back. To come out, squeeze the belly button in, lift those knees back up through center. Take a breath, breathe in, let it go, and make sure that you do the other side. This is mod 2 for the supine knee twist. Come to lie on your back. Reach those arms out like a T, palms face up to the ceiling. Pick those feet just off the floor so your heels are still in line with your sits bones. Draw your lower belly in, and then with control, start to let your knees fall over to one side. Just work within your range of motion here. The knees may or may not touch the floor. Don't push this position. Once you get to your full range of motion, make sure the navel's pulled in, protecting the lower back. Our lower back doesn't like to twist. It's a stabilizer. We're just rotating the upper part of the spine. Breathing through to the chest on the inhale, exhale, squeeze your belly button in. To come out, engage the core, float those knees back up through center. Change, place the feet down onto the floor, breathe. This is mod 3 for the shrub. Starting with your feet in mountain position, take a little micro bend into the knees. Pick up that right heel and place the heel right in the teardrop there. There's a place where the muscle meets the knee. That's a little pocket for your heel. And then from here, reach those arms up overhead, dorsal flex the hands, spread the fingers nice and wide. And then imagine sitting down on a chair behind you. So the sits bones are coming towards the floor as the chest is lengthening forward. As soon as you feel your arms drop and the spine round, you've gone beyond your range of motion. So keep the spine nice and long, shoulders down and back, holding here. Opening through that hip, maintaining your balance. To come out, push into that standing foot, use your core and your breath. Inhale, pick that right leg up, step back to mountain. Take a breath here, big inhale, exhale, and make sure you do the other side. This is mod 1 for the shrub. I love the shrub. Starting with your feet in mountain position. Take a little micro bend into the knees. You're gonna pick up your right heel and just place it on top of your left knee. Not on top of the kneecap, but where the muscle meets the bone. You're gonna keep the toes in dorsal flexion. You're gonna bring your hands down by your hips, keeping the shoulders externally rotated, and just a gentle little sit into that left hip. Holding here, getting a nice stretch for the hip and the glute while maintaining this posture stability in the spine and holding your balance by breathing and engaging your core. Eyes forward, back of the neck long. To come out, straighten that left leg, pick the right leg up, step it back into mountain position, and change sides. This is mod 2 for the shrub. Coming from your mountain position, take a micro bend into both knees. Pick up your right heel and place it just into that teardrop shape where the muscle meets the bone of the knee. Keep that right foot in dorsal flexion, protecting that right knee. From here, reach your arms out, shoulder height, thumbs face up towards the ceiling. And you're gonna sit down like there's a chair behind you, trying to keep the spine long. So try not to round forward into the position. Keep thinking of extension through the spine, back of the neck long, opening through that right hip, maintaining balance, hold the belly in. Good, spread those fingers, keep that dorsal flexion in that right foot. To come out, push into that left foot, pick up the right leg, step back through to mountain, and breathe, and do the other side. This is mod 3 for tree pose. Starting from mountain position, neutral feet, neutral spine. Start to balance on your left foot, picking that right leg up and seeing if you could place the sole of that right foot right into that left inner thigh. Create an opposition point here. And then watch the hip. We don't want the hips to be asymmetrical here. So drop that right hip down, 2 hips pointing straight forward. Arms reach up overhead, dorsal flex the hands. And from here, to maintain your balance, think opposition point. So push your left foot down into the floor, draw the shoulders down and back as the crown of the head reaches to the ceiling. And actively push the sole of your right foot and your inner thigh in towards one another. That's gonna maintain this stabilization into the pelvis. And then breathe. In and out through the nose. The breath will keep you here. Big, strong tree. And then to come out, bend your left knee, engage your core to lift the knee up, step the feet down through mountain, and change sides. This is mod 1 for tree pose. Starting from mountain position, balance it on your left foot, micro bend into that standing knee. Place your hands down beside your hips, palms face open, dorsal flexion of the hands the best you can. And you're just gonna test the waters here. So your right heel is just gonna push just above the left heel bone, and the toes are gonna stay on the floor. And then maybe you test your balance and pick the toes up off the floor and then place them back down. So again, just testing out the waters here, trying to find your balance on that left leg. Eyes are forward, back of the neck is long. This is mod 2 for tree pose. Starting from mountain position, plant your weight into that left foot, micro bend the left knee, and place the heel and the sole of your right foot onto that left shin. The arms are gonna come out just to shoulder height, thumbs face up towards the ceiling, opening through the shoulders, back body nice and long. Create your opposition here. So as you push your left foot into the floor, lengthen the crown of the head towards the ceiling. Push your right heel and your left shin bone against one another. Try not to let your butt stick out. Keep the spine nice and long, belly button in, chest high, opening through the shoulders. Eyes are forward, breathe, strong tree. And then change. This is mod 3 for triangle position into half moon. So starting in your mountain position, feet hip distance apart, take a big step back with that right foot, about 4 or 5 feet between the heels. Heel to heel alignment, back foot opens at 90 degrees. Make sure you have a little micro bend into that front knee, toes lifted up off the floor, arms out shoulder height. Doors, I flex the hand, engage that back line, open the front line. Start to reach your left hand forward. So someone's pulling your right hip back as you reach the left heel of the hand forward. Create some pull, opposition in your body. And then from here, when there's no more movement, there's your spine movement. Release the left hand down towards the shin, towards the ankle. Holding here, maybe the gaze looks up. Back of the neck stays long. Breathing here, using your core. Hug the front body and keep pushing into your feet. To transition into the balance, look down at your left foot. Bend your front knee. Start to bring your weight into that left foot. Heel toe the right foot a little bit closer. And then start to pick that right leg up off the floor. Door as I flex that right foot. Trying to open the hips to 90 degrees. Door as I flex that back foot. Strong body. Breathe. And then to come out, bend your left knee. Step the right foot back. Step up to mountain and change. Take a big inhale and big exhale. This is mod 1 for triangle position into half moon pose. Starting in mountain position. Feet hip distance apart, toes forward, stable through the lower body. Find that nice extension through the spine. Stepping back with one foot, we'll step back with the right foot, just finding about 3 or 4 feet between the heels. Right foot in at 45 degrees. Left knee micro bend, pointing over the second and third toe of that front foot. Opening the torso, reaching the arms just below shoulder height. You're going to reach your left arm forward, pushing your right hip back, and then when there's no more range of motion, just placing the left hand down on the inside of that left knee, reaching the right arm up. Gaze is forward, back of the neck is long. Try not to collapse into that left body. Keep the left body really strong. Gravity's going to want to pull your torso to the floor, so we're using our core to stay supported. Check in with that left knee. Notice if the knee started to fall in. Maintain that external rotation of that quadricep, pushing into that left big toe mound. To transition into the balance, take a peek down at your left foot. Heel toe your right foot in, and then from here, start to test the water. Start to balance on that left foot. Lift that right leg up. Maybe you take a little break until eventually you lift that right leg about 30 degrees up off the floor. The gaze starts to look towards the lifted leg. Balancing here, try not to hold the breath. To come out safely, bring your left knee into a bend, step your right foot back, and step back up to mountain. Take a breath here, big inhale, let it go. This is mod 2 for triangle position into half moon. Starting from mountain, so feet hip distance apart, toes forward, hands down by the hips. Bend the knees, step your right foot back 3 or 4 feet behind that front foot, turning that back foot open a little bit less than 90 degrees. Left knee is micro bend, arms come out shoulder height, thumbs face up towards the ceiling. Without letting that knee collapse inwards, so keep that knee open, start to reach your left arm forward like someone's pulling your left hand forward. You're hugging your femur bone right underneath the crease of the hip. And then when there's no more range of motion, just reach your left hand down towards the floor. Probably comes onto the inside of that left shin and then reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. Try not to hang out here. Gravity wants to pull you down towards the floor. Stay supported. Use your obliques, use your core to support the weight of the torso. Back of the neck is long, eyes forward. To transition into the balance, look down at your left foot. Bend into your left knee, heel toe your right foot a little bit closer, and then transition slowly. Long inhale, start to pick that right leg up off the floor, maybe getting it almost to hip height, trying to open the shoulders the best you can. Good, staying here. Eventually, the gaze looks over towards the right. Breathe. To come out, bend your front knee, step the right foot back into mountain position. Take an inhale, breathe, big exhale. This is mod 3 for the Warrior 2 series. Starting in mountain position. Toes pointing forward, hands down by the side, eyes forward. Big step back with that left foot, so there's about a leg's distance between the feet. Turn that back foot out at 90 degrees. Your right knee is bent at 90 degrees, pointing over that second and third toe. Your heels line up with one another. And then reaching those arms out, door as I flex the hands, gazing over that right thumb. Breathing here, in and out through the nose. Keep pushing your feet down into the floor, hold your belly in, reach the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. If there's any pressure in that back knee, make sure you turn the toes in or take a micro bend into that left knee. Moving into reverse warrior. The legs stay the same. We start to reach that left hand towards the back of our left leg, reaching that right arm up, dorsiflexion of that right hand, eyes are up, stretching through that right side of the body, supporting the left side of the body. Coming back through to warrior two, into extended angle. Reach that right arm forward, look towards the left, reach the right arm down as you look up past your left thumb. Little pressure with your right arm and your right knee opening through the hips, back of the neck stays long. Pushing back up through to warrior two. Straighten the front leg, heel toe the left foot in, and step back to mountain position. Breathe here. And make sure you do the other side. This is mod 1 for the warrior 2 series. Starting from your mountain position, toes pointing forward, hands down by the side. You're gonna step back with your left foot. So about a leg's distance between the 2 feet. Your back foot is gonna be at about 70 degrees. Your right knee is tracking over the second and third toe, reaching those arms out. A little micro bend into the elbows, eyes are forward. The action is in the feet, so continue to push the feet down into the floor. From here, we transition into a reverse warrior. The legs stay the same. The left hand just comes to touch that back leg. We reach the right arm up slightly and our gaze moves past our right thumb. Eyes are relaxed. Find a little lateral flexion into the spine, maintaining this action and heat into the legs. Holding here. And now moving into this last posture, come back through your warrior position. Extended right angle. Reach your right arm forward slightly. Turn, look to the left. Bring your right arm down on the inside of your right knee and reach the left arm up. Your right hand is just gently on the inside of your right knee. Spread the fingers of the left hand. Keep the back of the neck long. Keep those legs active. Push into the feet. Hug your belly in. Eyes forward. Relax your face. Push into your front foot. Come back up through to warrior, into mountain position. This is mod 2 for the warrior 2 series. Starting from your mountain position, feet hip distance apart, hands down by the side, stepping back a leg's distance with that left foot. Your right knee is tracking forward over your second and third toe. Your left foot is in at about 45 degrees. Open it through the shoulders, slight dorsal flexion of the hands. Taking a peek down, make sure that knee isn't falling inwards. Try to keep that knee moving over that second toe of that front foot. If there's too much pressure on that back knee, please bend your back knee. Transitioning into reverse warrior. The left hand is gonna come down towards the left knee or calf, reaching that right arm up. Gaze shifts up past the middle finger. Breathing here, your palm turns towards you slightly. Try not to collapse into the left body, stay supported. Transitioning back to warrior 2 position, moving now into extended right angle. Reach your right arm forward slightly, turn your head to the left, and now reach your right arm down on the inside of that right leg. Your fingers are just kind of grazing the inside of your right shin. The gaze just shifts up slightly towards the left. Push into that front foot, come all the way back up to warrior 2. Take a breath here, big inhale, big exhale. Stepping back to mountain, push into the front foot, heel toe that left foot in, stepping back to neutral. This is mod 3 for warrior 1. Starting from mountain position, hands down by the sides. Let's step back with the left foot, nice long distance between the feet. Reaching those arms up overhead, 90-degree bend into that front leg. Dorsal flexion of the hands, shoulders down and back. Back of the neck long, eyes forward, pushing into the feet, breathing in and out through the nose. Keep the face relaxed, eyes calm, breathe. Stepping back to mountain, neutral position, always doing the other side. This is mod 1 for warrior 1. Starting from mountain position, step the left foot back, reach those arms up overhead, keep a micro bend into that back knee, fingers pointing straight up towards the ceiling. Shoulders down and back, eyes forward. Your eyes are soft and you're just gazing past the tip of your nose. Check for that right knee pointing right over the second and third toe of that right foot. Breathing here. Really activate the legs by pushing the feet down into the floor. Keep the belly pulled in. Breathe. transitioning back to mountain, and of course, always doing the other side. This is mod 2 for warrior 1. Starting from a mountain position. Step in with that left foot, stretching through the left heel, right knee tracking over the second and third toe. Reaching those arms up overhead, slight dorsal flexion of the hands, shoulders down and back. Eyes are forward. We're thinking of stretching that left hip as we really build strength into that front leg. Pushing the feet down into the floor, breathing here, in and out through the nose. Using mountain as a transition posture. Step back to mountain, making your way to the other side. This is mod 3 for the wide leg QL stretch. Starting with those legs in a V position. Opening those legs as wide as you can, making sure that it feels safe into the inner thighs and up into the groin. Dorsal flexion of the feet, maybe the knees are pressing down into the floor. Reaching the arms out shoulder height, stabilize through the shoulder girdle first. So draw the shoulders down and back. Reach those palms up towards the ceiling. And now rotate on the axis of the spine. So start to twist towards the left. Trying not to twist with a rounded spine. Keep lifting, twisting, making sure you're not twisting into that lower back. Once you've hit your full range of motion, bend your right elbow. Place the right elbow on the inside of that right leg. The hand will come to the floor. From here, placing the left fingertips behind the ear, lift up out of the lower back, big inhale, and then exhale, opening the chest up towards the ceiling. Your eyes are just gazing past that left shoulder, making sure that you're just feeling a stretch, no pulling in or around the lower back. Try not to let that left hip come up off the floor. Keep anchoring that left hip down to find the proper stretch into the QL, quadratus lumborum, around the lower back. To come out, squeeze the lower belly in, protect the lower spine. Come back up through to neutral, release the arms, breathe, and make sure you do the other side. This is mod 1 for the wide leg QL stretch. Starting with your legs in a V position, just opening those legs to a place where it feels comfortable for your inner thighs and bending the knees, making sure that you feel safe into the backs of your legs. Nice long spine. You're gonna reach your arms out, shoulder height, turn your palms up towards the ceiling. This is your setup. From here, we're gonna rotate along the axis of the spine first. So find your rotation towards the left. Place your right elbow on the inside of your right knee and bring your left fingertips just behind your left ear. From here, you're gonna take an inhale, and as you exhale, you're gonna lift your chest up towards the ceiling. The stretch here is in your QL, so that's that muscle that surrounds the lower back. The action here is in that left sit bone, so you're actively pushing that left butt cheek down into the floor as you lift the chest up towards the ceiling. To come out, draw your belly button into your lower back, come back up through to neutral, and take a breath. Breathe in, let it go, and make sure that you do the other side. This is mod 2 for the wide leg QL stretch. Come to sit in a V position with your legs, opening those legs to your range of motion. Make sure there's no pulling into the upper part of the groin. And then just keeping a micro bend into the knees, protecting the hamstrings. From here, reach your arms out shoulder height. Stabilize through the shoulder girdle first by drawing the shoulders down and back. And then flip the palms up towards the ceiling. Draw your belly in, and now rotate on the axis of the spine. So start to twist towards the left. From here, bring your right elbow and your forearm in line with each other and place your fingertips of the left hand behind your left ear. Now take a breath, breathe in, and then as you exhale, think of lifting your chest up towards the ceiling as you anchor that left hip bone down into the floor. The stretch here is in through to the back of the legs and into that QL, which means quadratus lumborum, that muscle that surrounds your lower back. Breathe into the chest, inhale. Exhale, draw your belly button into the lower back to find even more rotation into the upper part of the spine. To come out, squeeze the belly in, protect the lower back, come back up through neutral, release the arms. Take a breath, breathe in, let all of that go, and make sure you do the second side. This is mod 3 for the crow. Starting with your feet just wider than hip distance apart. Bend at the knees, rest your ribs onto the quads, and then bring your arms forward. Push into the balls of the feet. The idea here is to get the knees right into the triceps. You're going to try to rest your shin bones on your upper arm bones. From here, as you bring your body weight forward, use your breath. Start to lift both feet up off the floor. Dorsal flex the feet, cross the ankles, find your core, belly and chest forward. Breathing here. To come out, uncross your feet, slowly place the feet back onto the floor. This is mod 1 for crow. Starting with your feet in that mountain position, start to bend into the knees. Start by bringing your fingertips onto the floor. If everything feels okay here in your backs and your legs, place the hands down onto the floor, shoulder width apart. And now just start to come up onto the balls of the feet. Bring your knees to the outside of your arms. And then just start to rock forward and back. Just getting used to the idea of your body weight coming forward, getting used to the body weight coming onto the hands. Bring your hips forward and back. This is mod 2 for crow. Starting with your feet just wider than hip distance apart. Bend into the knees, ribs onto the thighs. Bring the hands out in front of you, shoulder width apart. Start to come onto the balls of the feet and see if you can get your knees into the outsides of your arms. From here, you're gonna bring your weight into the hands. Use your breath. Lift one foot up off the floor and then try the other foot. Just picking one foot up off the floor at a time. Just getting used to balancing on the hands. To come out, slowly place the feet back onto the floor. This is mod 3 for the Evolve Yoga 1 cycle. Starting in mountain position, feet pointing forward, hands down by the hips, dorsal flexion of the hands. Find your breath. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead. Keep the shoulders down and back. Exhale, hinging from the hips, shooting the chest forward. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, step to plank position. Shift your body weight forward. Bend your elbows, keep your elbows tucked into the ribs, lower the chest towards the floor. Hovering 1 inch from the floor, shifting to upward dog. All 10 toenails are on the floor. Back of the neck is long, push into the hands. From here, flip over the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Breathing here, in and out through the nose. Keep pushing the feet into the floor, spread the fingers, push into the hands. Bend the knees, look forward, step the feet through the hands. Inhale, lift all the way back up into mountain position. This is mod 1 for the Evolve Yoga 1 cycle. You're gonna hear this throughout the series, so these are the modifications. Just do the best that you can. Starting from mountain position, hands down by the side. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips, lowering the torso down towards the floor. Inhale, pulse up. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, and step back into table position. Knees onto the floor. Bend your elbows, keep your elbows tucked into the ribs. Lower all the way down towards the floor. Release the tops of the feet down onto the floor. Bring your elbows underneath your shoulders, hands flat to the floor, and lift up into a little baby cobra. From here, lower the forehead back down, slide the hands back beside the chest, curl the toes, lift back up onto all fours, lift the hips up and back, keep a bend into the knees, come into downward facing dog. Look forward, step your feet back between your hands, bring your hands by your sides, inhale, lift the chest, exhale to pulse. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead, exhale, back to mountain position. This is mod 2 for the Evolve Yoga 1 cycle. Standing with your feet in mountain position, bring those hands down by the hips, dorsal flexion of the hands, nice long spine. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead, keep the shoulders down and back. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips, lowering the torso to the floor. Inhale, pulse the torso back up. Exhale, bend knees, hands to floor, step back to plank position, keeping a micro bend into the knees. From here, keep the elbows tucked into the ribs, lower all the way down towards the floor. Push into the feet, push into the hands, keep a bend into the elbow, come into spinal extension, upward dog. Exhale, lower the forehead back to the floor, curl the toes, push into the hands, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog with a little bend into the knees. Catch your breath here, breathing out through the nose and in through the nose. Look forward, step your feet back towards your hands. Inhale, lift the torso, reach the arms back, Coming all the way back up to mountain position. This is mod 1 for the cycle. Starting with your feet in mountain position, hands by the hips, palms open, eyes forward. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead, just shoulder width apart. Exhale, micro bend into the knees, hinge from the hips, reach those arms back. Take a little pulse here. Inhale, lift and lengthen the spine. Exhale, bend knees, hands to floor, step back to plank position, pause here. With control, place your knees down onto the floor, start to lower the chest down towards the floor. Inhaling up into a little baby cobra, top of the toenails onto the floor, back of the neck long. Exhale, curl the toes back under, push your knees and hands into the floor, lift back up to plank. Exhale, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Breathing here, looking forward, step your feet back through your hands, feet hip distance apart. Lift and extend the spine, a little pulse, exhale, reach those arms back up overhead. Exhale, back to mountain position. This is mod 2 for the cycle. Starting with our feet in mountain position, hands by the hips, palms open, eyes forward. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead, shoulder width apart. Exhale, bend into the knees, hinge forward from the hips. Inhale, pulse up. Exhale, bend knees, hands to floor, step back to plank position. Lower the chest towards the floor. Inhale into your upward dog, elbows stay bent, hips on the floor. Back of the neck long. Exhale, lower the forehead back to the floor, curl the toes, come right up to plank into downward facing dog. Take a big inhale, open the jaw, ha sound, exhale. Take a little micro bend into the knees here, push into the feet, push into the hands. Look forward, step your feet forward between the hands, feet hip distance apart. Inhale, hands by the hips, lift and extend, exhale, pulse and fold. Lead with the breastbone, reach the arms up overhead, inhale. Exhale, back to mountain position. This is mod 3 for pigeon pose. Starting in a kneeling position, come onto your right hip and try to bring your left leg straight back behind you, plantar flexion of that foot. Try to create alignment in that back foot so the foot isn't sickled. We want to find symmetry into the back foot. And then you're trying to bring your right foot forward as far as you can. If your hips are a little tighter, keep that heel in towards your midline, and then just start to come forward, bringing those arms forward. Maybe the forehead will come to the floor. Getting a nice stretch into that right hip, thinking of symmetry into the pelvis. So try not to roll to the right or roll to the left. Keep an even pelvis, even shoulders, back of the neck is long. To come out, come up one hand at a time. Come onto the right hip and switch sides. This is mod 1 for pigeon. Just coming into a kneeling position, rest your weight onto your right hip. Bring your left knee back at about 90 degrees and your right foot forward as far as it feels comfortable so there's no pulling in your right knee. From here, place your hands just on either side of that right knee. Lift out of the hips and just start to hinge forward, getting a nice stretch into that right hip. Breathing here. Think opposition. So you're pushing your right knee and your right hip down into the floor, maintaining a nice length into the spine. So trying not to hang out and round and stretch here. Stretching with that integrity into the spine, opening through the hips. And making sure that you do both sides. This is mod 2 for pigeon. Coming onto your right hip, scoot your left leg back behind you. Keep a micro bend into that left knee and reach your right shin forward as much as you can so there's no stress on that front knee. From here, you're just gonna start to hinge forward from the hips, bringing the elbows onto the floor, flat hands, getting a nice stretch into that right hip. Head is not up, head is not down. Back of the neck is neutral, spine is long. Breathing here, inhale, bigger exhales. To come out, come up one hand at a time and make sure you do the other side. This is mod 3 for pyramid position into warrior 3. Starting from mountain position, neutral feet, neutral body. Step that left foot back about 4 or 5 feet, ensuring that the toes are pointing forward, hips are forward. That left heel is gonna stay on the floor. Reach those arms back behind you, slight dorsal flexion of the hands. Start to hinge from the hips, bringing your body weight forward, anchoring that left heel into the floor. As soon as your left heel lifts up off the floor, you've gone too far into your range of motion. Back of the neck is long. Good, pushing through the feet. Transitioning into the warrior position from here. Start to bend into that front knee, picking the left leg up off the floor. As you do that, reach the arms forward, draw the shoulders down and back, dorsal flexion of the hands. Back foot is active, squeeze the inner thighs, belly in, relax your eyes. From here, bend your right knee, step your left foot beside the right, back through to mountain. Take a breath, big inhale, exhale, and make sure you do the other side. This is mod 1 for the pyramid posture into warrior 3. Starting from mountain position, toes pointing forward, nice strong lower body, nice long spine. Stepping back with the left foot, keeping your right toes pointing forward, about 2 or 3 feet between the feet, hips pointing forward, shoulders stacked over the hips. Hands come down by the side, start to hinge forward from the hips, getting a nice stretch into that back leg. Action is in that back foot. Really push into that left heel. Make sure there's no pulling in that front knee. If there is, please bend your front knee. Safety in the body first. Transitioning into warrior 3 balance. Start to bend into that front knee. Leave the hands as they are and pick that left foot up off the floor 30 degrees. Action in that back foot. Keep dorsal flexing, squeeze the inner thighs, chest forward, back of the neck long. To come out, bend your front knee, step the left foot beside the right, mountain position, take a breath, and make sure that you do the other side. This is mod 2 for pyramid pose into warrior 3. Starting from your mountain position, toes forward, knees stacked over ankles, hips over knees, nice long spine. Take that left foot, step it back straight behind you. So there's about 3 or 4 feet between the feet, making sure that left heel stays on the floor, hips are pointing forward. Reach those arms out, shoulder height, good, shoulders down and back, and then start to hinge forward from the hips here. Bring those arms back towards the hips. Keep lengthening the chest forward. Good, maintaining that back body here, strong legs. If there's any pulling in or around the knees, please bend your knees. Good, holding here. Action is in the feet, belly in, chest forward, relax the eyes. To move into the balance, start to bend into that right knee. As you start to bring the weight into the right foot, picking that left leg up off the floor about 60 degrees. Dorsal flexion of that back foot, arms out shoulder height, palms face down to the floor. Back of the neck is long. To come out, bend your front knee, step the foot back beside the right, mountain position, take a breath, big inhale, breathe, exhale, and make sure you do the second side. This is mod 3 for thread the needle. Starting in a 4-point position. Knees under hips, curl the toes under, hands underneath the shoulders. You're gonna draw your right elbow up like a bow and arrow. Open through the shoulder first, get full range of motion. And then you're gonna thread the needle. So bring that right arm under and through, placing the back of the hand, the tricep, the shoulder onto the floor, and then the head. From here, you're gonna reach that left arm forward, threading through the fingers, stretching through the whole back body. Right side of the head rests on the floor. To come out, bend your left elbow, push your left hand into the floor, and come back into your neutral position, making sure that you do both sides. This is mod 2 for thread the needle. Starting in a 4-point position. Knees under hips, curl the toes under, hands underneath the shoulders. Draw that right elbow like a bow and arrow. Opening through the shoulder first. Get full range of motion. And then you're gonna reach that right arm, thread the needle underneath the left. Bringing the right shoulder onto the floor first, and then the right side of the head. Keeping a bend into that left elbow, pushing the left hand into the floor, gently stretching through the right shoulder. Breathing here. To come out, push into that left hand, use your core inhale, come back into a neutral position, making sure that you do the other side. This is mod 1 for thread the needle. Starting in our 4-point position, knees under hips, dorsal flexion of the feet, hands under shoulders. You're gonna lift that right arm up like a bow and arrow, and then extend your right arm up towards the ceiling, opening through the shoulder first. From here, you're gonna thread the needle, bringing that right arm down towards that left knee. The left forearm's gonna come onto the floor, and the head may or may not touch the floor. Working to one day, maybe bring the head to the floor. If that's any strain on your neck or your shoulder, keep the head lifted up off the floor. Just getting a nice stretch here into the back of the shoulder. To come out, push into that left hand, use your core, come back to your tabletop position. Take a breath and make sure you do the other side. This is mod 3 for the wheel. Starting to come onto your back, knees pointing forward, feet pointing forward. Starting with your hands beside the hips, lift those hips up towards the ceiling. Start to bring the weight onto the shoulders, find a lot of action into the feet here. When you bring your hands beside your ears, your elbows are gonna point up towards the ceiling. As you do this, if the hips drop, you need to mod down. So the only way we know the shoulders are open enough is if the hips can maintain this lift. From here, you're gonna push into your hands and start to lift the hips up towards the ceiling. So your toes are pointing forward. You're pushing into the hands, breathing here in through to the chest. To come out, you're gonna bend into the knees, bend your elbows, place the back of the head, then the shoulders, then the hips onto the floor. Walk your feet forward, release the hands. Take a breath and breathe. This is mod 1 for wheel. We're gonna start in a bridge position. So come to lie on your back, toes pointing forward, knees stacked over the ankles, palms face up to the ceiling. Actively push into the feet and lift the hips up to knee height. If the hips and the knees and shoulders are in one line, start to reach the arms out like robot arms. So you're pushing into the length of that upper arm bone, spreading the fingers, starting to think about bringing the weight into the shoulders. Nice long spine, back of the neck long, eyes up. Breathing into the chest here, opening through that full thoracic cavity here, stretching the intercostal wall. To come out, break at the hips, make sure the core is supporting the movement, place the hips down onto the floor, and breathe. This is mod 2 for wheel. Starting in a bridge position, working our way up to that wheel position. So toes pointing forward in line with knee and hip. Start to push into the feet, lift the hips up to knee height. If the knees and the hips and the shoulders are in one line, start to extend the arms up towards the ceiling. Trying to get the shoulders down and back, spread the fingers, and just rooting through the feet here, keeping active into the legs, back of the neck is long. Staying here, support the spine with the core. Keep the belly pulled in, action in the feet, action in the hands. To come out, break at the hips, make sure the belly button's pulled in with control, place the hips down onto the floor, relax the hands, take a breath,